Hello, 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 and welcome back to a Chakras and Cusswords podcast. My name is Catherine, and I am your host. Today, we are going to dive deep. Of course, we're going to dive deep. We wouldn't be doing anything unless it's fucking deep. And we're going to dive into the deep energy of the cosmos as we look at the astrology that is going to occur in October. Now, I'm just like, wow, October already? One of the most witchiest months, my favorite season. The season of the witch is upon us. The season of everything spooky, dark, and a little bit tantalizing can almost touch you at your fingertips is literally here. Like, wow, did this year go by fast or is it just me? But anyways, I'm glad you cosmic baddies are back, okay? And before we do that, we're going to look at some of the astrology and some of the main events that occurred in September. Because the September's astrology and September for a whole was pretty fucking massive of energy. It was like a big one, a big, massive energetic movement that we felt, we saw, we lived, and we're here. And we're going to keep on going with this astrology and keep on going with these storylines. So for those who are interested, I'm recording September 24th at 2 p.m. And I'm not going to wait for this month to finish. Your girl's on vacay, and I've been enjoying my time. This is the only time I've had where I haven't been doing anything, so I've just kind of working on some content and said, you know what, let's just get this bad baby out. If something else can happen, it happens, and we'll talk about it later. So one of the things that was kind of the main focus of conversation, and it was right around August 26th, right around that time, we had a Venus in Leo sextiles Uranus in Gemini. And we also had the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce engagement. And for those who know, I've read their birth chart. I predicted a while back that I thought there was a huge possibility that these two could get married and even have some babies, some little Taylor Swifties running around, and Travis Kelce's. He is an air sign. He is a Libra. She is a fire sign. She is a Sagittarius. And there's no way that this did not happen. Literally, when Venus in Leo sextiles Uranus in Gemini. Also around this time, we had Venus in Leo trines Neptune in Aries. Venus in Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius. So it is believed that they were probably engaged about 2 weeks ago before they actually made that post on the Instagram, letting the world know that they're engaged. And during that time, we're thinking it was right around August 13th from the social media post that went out, and Taylor Swift's soon-to-be father-in-law, spilling the tea, said that we believe that they got engaged around August 13th, which is interesting because around August 11th, we had the Venus in Cancer's conjuncts Jupiter in Cancer, which I believe Taylor is a Cancer moon. I can't remember. I don't have their charts right in front of me, but I know I looked at it and it was something with that Cancer moon, something with that Jupiter in Cancer, just kind of like hovering over Miss Swiftie herself. She either had Venus in Cancer or she had a Cancer moon. I can't remember, but it's something's going on. Also during that time, Northwest got a lot of publicity because homegirl came out looking rather sassy again. Now, Northwest, she tends to turn up a little bit too much. And she came out in a bustier, and Kim automatically had her out here looking way too grown. I feel like Kim's just grooming her at this point. I mean, I don't know. She wants her to be a superstar because she lost her her other superstar, Kanye, he's got some mental illness. He's completely very talented, but just not there, not somebody that she wants to put out in the spotlight. And just people aren't checking for Kim Kardashian like they used to. I mean, that's basically what I'm going to say. They're just not checking for the girl like they used to. Also, during this time, we had August 27th, a shooting in Minneapolis at a Catholic church. And it was a huge shooting. I believe many children actually were unalive. Very unfortunate event. And there is a lot of talk about gun control, as there should be. There's a lot of talk about, what are we going to do? Because the shooter literally fired through windows of a church in Minneapolis that morning, killing 2 children. At the time, this is what I have too. It may have increased. 14 others were injured, and also an elderly, I believe, worker or parishioner was wounded as well at the Onucation Catholic Church. Very sad. These children were literally praying, and it just seems very unfortunate. Of course, there was some talk about the shooters being identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, who shared a manifesto on social media where they believe that something was going to happen. I don't understand why people aren't reporting this. Like, if you see somebody sharing some weird shit that's indicating they might be doing something weird, can you please call the police department and let them know that somebody might be doing some weird shit? And they ended up shooting a school. There was definitely some talk about the woman, or I believe it was a biological man who was transitioning to be a woman. So there was a lot of talk about transgenders. Okay, first of all, I want to say this because I think I need to say this. First of all, I want to say that if it was a transgender, does it really matter? Because the whole issue is there needs to be some kind of gun laws or some kind of constriction, something going on. And it's not just the transgender population who are doing these shootings, okay? I know they like to paint the scenario that's just the transgender population or people who are involved with transgender population, but it's not. It's been going on for years, since Columbine, okay? And those children, those 2 young men who walked into that school and shot up the school were not transgender. And most of the school shootings are not done by transgenders. What are the common denominator in those school shootings are fucking guns. Are fucking guns. That is the only common denominator that I see. So very unfortunate, because I'm like, at what point are we going to have some tighter gun law? At what point? At what point? And during this time, the shooting occurred August 27th, and during this time, it was August 28th. Uranus in Gemini sextiles Neptune in Aries. Very explosive energy. Very explosive energy. Now, right around this time, September 1st, we had Saturn retrograde enters Pisces. Then during this time, we had the Cardi B trial, where Cardi B was cleared in a recent $24 million civil lawsuit against assault. So basically, the former security guard, Amani Ellis, claimed back in, a while back, that she saw Cardi B at a doctor's appointment, and her being the security guard, this doesn't make no damn sense to me, decides to get out a telephone to record Cardi B at her doctor's appointment while Cardi B is newly pregnant and has not told the world that she is pregnant. During this time, they had some verbal words and a supposed altercation where she stated that Cardi B scratched her somehow on the face, and Cardi B stated she never actually physically touched her. She did admit to using profanity and was being very argumentative because she felt like it was a violation of her to be recording her while she was pregnant at her doctor's appointment. Now, I will say 100%, 100%. Like, you should not be going to the doctors and being fearful that you are going to show up on TMZ. So I agree with Cardi. This security guard had no right doing that. And if we get into an altercation or some kind of verbal yelling match, and now you want to sue because Cardi B's got money and you got fired, it's still, you shouldn't have been recording her when she was pregnant going to the doctor's office. So Cardi was seen as basically, it was dismissed, and she doesn't have to pay this girl any money who was seeking $24 million in damages, including emotional distress and medical expenses. Now, I will say, when you are famous, people are going to come after you, and we can see that this is what happened. This lady was in the wrong. She should have never did it, but she did. And luckily, Cardi B was excluded and does not have to pay this lady, because this seems ridiculous. Also, around September 10th, the world became in shock with the glooming, dawning and draining movements of the eclipses. And then also we got a very unsettling event. So Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th. And Charlie Kirk, I had to look him up. He is, I guess, involved in truth. I don't know. He's involved in some like campaign, and he goes to these universities, and he's very conservative. He's very much like Trump's wingman, and I guess he was one of the people who helped Trump in his election and his campaigning with the younger population. And he has like these verbal debates where he gets on stage and he verbally debates people, and then he kind of has like this aha moment. Aha, I was right. You guys were wrong. But some of the stuff he says to me, now I know some of y'all motherfuckers a little country up in here, and we got some conservatives probably listening to this fucking podcast. You know, I love when conservatives love to get into astrology. It lets me just see how hypocritical this fucking world is. But anyways, so some, very conservative fucking viewpoints. And he says some things, I mean, there's definitely some things I can agree with that he says. Like, he has some strong stances about like the family unit being strengthened. I do think family units do need to be strengthened. Having good values. I do think there should be good values, definitely some areas I do agree with him on, some of his speaking points. But for the most part, the way he says it is very offensive to many people. He doesn't believe in that we should have like DEI. He doesn't believe in a lot of fucking shit. He's very pro-life, very conservative, but he's seen as, some people say he's seen as a racist. Shit, I don't know. And he is seen as very pro-gun. And he even said in a couple clips that I shared when I did the U.S. birth chart of the time of his assassination, that he felt that, gun laws, some people might get sacrificed by having the gun laws. And unfortunately, he was one of the individuals who got assassinated. Then there was a lot of speculation about, did he deserve this? Nobody deserves to die. That's just a horrible thing to say. Nobody deserves to be assassinated, especially assassinated in that form. The tongue is a very powerful thing. And it's kind of unsettling considering he talks so much about guns and being very pro-gun. And then this was actually him getting taken out by a gun. And this was definitely hitting the airwaves, like a lot of debate, a lot of controversy. The collective became very consumed with it. And then What's also interesting is I think it's kind of ironic that following the blood moon, Charlie Memorial's ceremony occurred. His assassination occurred following the blood moon, and then they had Charlie's memorial ceremony on September 21st, right around the same time as the partial solar eclipse in Virgo. And this is definitely some new moon energy, also known as the black moon for those who listen to that podcast. And it was at 29 degrees in Virgo, which is basically closing of all closing. And I will say it was definitely giving some weird controversy about that. Just weirdness, just very, very conspiracy-ish weirdness. Also around this time, like I said, the collective was very consumed about this. So there was a lot of conversations about Charlie Kirk. September 18th, we had Mercury enters Libra, but right before Mercury enters Libra, the day before, we have Jimmy Kimmel was let go from ABC and Disney. Also, Mercury was on center stage when this occurred because Mercury was in Virgo opposite Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is in retrograde, and this energy was showing to take away the free minds and conversations of many people, showing almost like the hypocrisy about, they say Charlie Kirk shouldn't have died for freedom of speech. We get that. Jimmy Kimmel shouldn't have been taken off the air for freedom of speech either, but he's got some top executives who want to censor what he says, and we see the restrictions, right? So also with Saturn going retrograde in Pisces, we also see that was taking away restrictions of the tongue during this times of disagreements of self-awareness and the consciousness. Also, we see it's time to really check our energy of reality versus our illusions. And this was all happening right around the time Mercury was in 29 degrees. So today we're kind of like, waking up. And what's interesting is people would say some justice was served as Mercury did transition over to Libra on September 18th, because everybody started boycotting ABC and Disney, and they were actually canceling a lot of their subscriptions, and they were canceling their subscriptions, and supposedly Disney lost a lot of money, ABC lost some money, and then Jimmy Fallon got back on the air, I believe yesterday on September 23rd, which was literally as the sun in Libra is opposite Neptune in Aries, whereas it's really a day that you see that energy upfold and come away. Also during that time, there was also a sun in Libra trines Uranus in Gemini, as it was the mark of Libra season starting on September 22nd. The sun in Libra trines Pluto in Aquarius. Also, what's interesting is Luigi Manigione's state of terrorism charges have been dismissed. So he is currently going into trial for the allegations of being the shooter for the shooting of the CEO back a year ago. I read his birth chart. If you guys want to read that, you can listen to it. The terrorism charges were dropped, which technically I do not feel that Luigi Manigone should be held as a terrorist. I don't see him as a terrorist, and he will not go on trial for the state terrorism charges in connection with the ambush-style killing of last year's United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A judge in Manhattan ruled on Tuesday that the New York Supreme Court Justice Gregory Caro said that the evidence presented to the grand jury does not support charges of murder in the first and second degree under the state's terrorist statute. Manigone will still face a trial of murder in the second degree and other related counts, but not the terrorist. He will not face the terrorist charges, but he will no longer face the possibility of life in prison without parole. I believe he could still see life in prison though. Lawyers for Mangione had argued that the New York terrorism laws had been misapplied in this case in a rush by law enforcement to respond to the high volume of what a high profile investigation this was. And also because the collective was watching and the communities were watching, and it was just so much high media coverage that they felt like they needed to really slap it on them. Now, also around this time, I started to notice that people were posting George Floyd and Carly Kirk's birth date, which was kind of creepy weird, okay? And it was like suspiciously kooky. Both were born October 14th, okay? Charlie Kirk was born October 14th, 1993, and George Floyd was born October 14th, 1973, which is very interesting with these two. Okay, so both of these gentlemen are Libra suns, both dominant and very Venus energy. While I do not know their birth dates, Charlie, a Libra sun, moon in Libra. George Floyd is a Libra sun and Taurus moon. So we see that Venus energy in the big three, but we don't know the rising with both of them. Also, Charlie Kirk had a Saturn in an Aquarius, and George Floyd had a Jupiter in Aquarius. What's also interesting is that they're kind of like both polar opposites in the way that the public views them. One's very conservative, both unalived. One was unalived by an assassination. One was also unalived during an arrest with police violence. And both of these unalivings sparked huge social movements, which is very interesting. And also when I looked at their charts of their unalivings, I noticed that both of these dates that occurred of their unalivings both occurred during Mercury season. George Floyd died on May 25th, 2020, and it was Gemini season. Charlie died September 10th of 2025, and it was Virgo season, which is interesting because the energy of Mercury really shows that energy of health in some ways, the messenger, and then also the area of media. So they had all of these similarities, but they were so different. Now, I got a lot of feedback when I posted that on one of the astrology groups that I'm part of. Some people said they thought it was offensive, that I was comparing the two. Some people thought that it was rather like they had some type of tie, some type of like karmic tie or universal tie, because they were like so polar opposite but so similar. And Charlie Kirk did talk a lot of shit about George Floyd, but they were both fathers, they were both human, they were both embarked on their deaths, both embarked on two huge social conversations, a lot of dialogue about justice, a lot of dialogue about how we see the world and how we value each other. So I just thought that was very interesting that both of these guys were very heavy in Libra energy. Both of them were Libras. A lot of people feel like Libras tend to be a little chaotic in their lives. Air signs get that chaotic energy. And they both embarked on these huge, unknowingly, George Floyd probably at the time of his life never thought that his death would embark on a huge Black Lives Matter movement, that it would have so much conversational dialogue. And then Charlie Kirk, I don't care what you say, I don't think he knew he was getting assassinated. I don't think he perceived that as his near future. I know there's a lot of controversy with Charlie Kirk's case about conspiracies. if this was an inside job, if somebody was out to get him. Is it because he was speaking up against Israel? You know, Candace Owen is selling her tickets. I'm sure she's very upset. You know, her friend has passed away. Do I think her and Trump are monetizing a little bit on this death? I'm going to say just a little bit. Just a little bit. Very unfortunate that a man lost his life. And there's still some monetization that has to be done. But, you know, it is what it is, right? And that is the form of capitalism. And Charlie was very much a pro-capitalist, so I guess he would wish this. So let's take a look at some of the other events before we wrap it up. So also, Cardi B announced that she was pregnant right around like September 18th, which is a very high energy day. And during that time, there's the Mercury enters Libra. And then we also see the energy of Venus enters Virgo and the solar eclipse. And she acknowledged, yes, she is with child with her soon to be baby daddy Stefan Diggs. Cardi B also released her album on September 19th, which was the day after she acknowledged that she is pregnant. And that was with the Venus enters Virgo. So Cardi B and Stefan Diggs, I read the birth chart. If you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it. I kind of tell you what I think about their relationship, you know, what I think about Cardi's relationship from Offset. Offset and her did not do well on the compatibility. I actually picked up his chart and looked at it, skimmed it. I didn't do a full reading, but I did do a little skim and looked at them on the love meter, and the love meter ranked them about a 5. Cardi and Stefan Diggs, she is a Libra and he is a Sagittarius. So was Offset, but Offset did not rank as high as her and Stefan Diggs. So we will see. Another thing that was very disturbing that occurred right around this same time as the Venus enters Virgo energy, and also the Mercury trines Pluto in Aquarius energy, and the Venus in Virgo squares Uranus in Gemini energy, and the solar eclipses, and then also Mars enters Scorpio, was Bad Baby was seen on the top of her boyfriend's or baby daddy Lei Vong's hood, screaming, crying, very upset. She was on the hood of his car. He tried to like gas break her off. And it's sad because there's definitely some abuse going on in that relationship, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I really hope Bad Baby gets some help. It's very sad. She's literally been in the spotlight since she was 13, but you could tell she's been struggling for a while. I mean, she was literally on Dr. Phil trying to fight her mom, so I don't know what else to say. She's been going through shit for a very long time. People who have a lot of trauma in childhood do tend to get into other causes of relationships that could bring more trauma. So it's very unfortunate. I hope she seeks help. And I hope she stays away from him. And then we had some more unsettling news too about superstar, but he's not that much of a superstar because I never heard of him. And a lot of people were kind of heard of him. David, but he spells his name D4VD. He was dating, I guess, like a 15-year-old girl. I don't know. She was like reported missing like 18 months ago from her family, but then there's talk that maybe her mom knew. It sounds like all his fans knew that this singer guy who has like this one song, but he was on the start of really like making his name. They found her body disembodied, and she was unalived, and she was left in his Tesla right around, they believe, back in April. of 2024, maybe? Or she was like, I don't know. She's been in there for a long time. Like, they don't know, but her body was like decomposing. So they're not really sure when the aliving took place. They're investigating it. I don't know that much about the case, just that they found her body in the car of him, who he is a singer. And it's very unfortunate. Jimmy Kimmel did come back on the air yesterday, and he says that he, was suspended, but he's glad to be back. But I do think a lot of it had to do with the boycott from Disney and ABC. It is very unfortunate. I know I said about Charlie Kirk, it is very unfortunate that he was assassinated, and it's very sad because nobody should be assassinated, regardless of your political views, regardless of what you say. I know a lot of people celebrated his death, celebrated his unaliving. And if you're upset that people were celebrating his death and unaliving, you better not be the same motherfucker that was celebrating George Floyd's death and unaliving. Okay? That's all I gotta fucking say. That's all I gotta say. Because excuses can be made in both ways, So I think that is kind of like what I wanted to say, because people could say, well, George Floyd was this and this, and then people could say, well, Charlie Kirk was this and this. It's a double-edged sword. Nobody should be celebrating death of anybody. Now, some creepier news. Elon Musk's father accused of sexually abusing his children and his stepchildren. The Musk family's fucking weird, okay? I don't know. Elon Musk is fucking weird. He needs to stop doing drugs. It's kind of interesting because I really thought Elon Musk was going to portray some type of Tesla, not just Tesla, but some more like super futuristic things. And I think he still might. But man, he's a weirdo. And so apparently so is his $billion daddy. So he has a 79-year-old $billion daddy too. And Elon Musk is a billionaire, but he came from money. So this whole notion that he made all this money on his own is a bunch of bullshit. A lot of it was seen because they came from South Africa, and a lot of it has to do with the mining, illegal, what people are saying, illegal blood diamonds. But the family won't admit that part. But his dad, just has been accused of sexually abusing 5 of his children and stepchildren since 1993, in a New York Times reported on Tuesday. The outlet said that those allegations could be why the entrepreneur, who temporarily served as an advisor to Trump's second administration, rarely mentions his father. Yeah, if my father was out here molesting people, I probably wouldn't bring him up either. And that the family members of Elon Musk have reached out for help, prompting him to sometimes take some type of action. I don't know what they want him to do. But Elon Musk dismissed the allegations that were reported by New York Times of basically nonsense and false, citing personal letters and emails and interviews with the family, and Times said that Elon Musk, who has at least 9 children and stepchildren and has been married 3 times to women, maintains a powerful grip over much of his family. His family's giving me weird. I watched stuff of his dad. I believe the dad married a stepdaughter or some shit. I don't know. Some creepy happened before. I remember there was something creepy before. I just can't remember. I don't know. Creepy. Okay, let's get on to the energy of October. October, the spooky season we've all been waiting for, where everybody will say the veil is thin. Don't go outside in the dark. Don't go outside with your hair wet. And don't watch too many spooky movies. Well, that's all nonsense. On October 1st, we have Juno enters Sagittarius. This is definitely a time where we seek freedom, independence, and doing all our normal witch bitch activities. The spirits together are definitely high and vibracious. Also, October 1st is definitely a high energy day, as we also have Mercury in Libra squares Jupiter in Cancer. It's time to put your spooky stew into your cauldron as the energies of truth and words begin to clash. Definitely some secrets will be unraveled as stories are told, and we will have a belief shift of energy. Now, I will want you to be very cautious the way you take in your understanding of what could possibly happen. But what you once thought was solid may dissolve with the cauldron smoke. Also on October 4th, we have Pallas direct in Aquarius, and this is when the wise witch awakens. She sees the energy of moving forward and knows that the visions of the mortals are just nonsense. She thinks beyond destiny and gathers everything. She gathers the souls of the ancestors and shares her ideas with her collective and starts to clean her coven. This is definitely a time to look at all things that thread into anything mischievous. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. On October 6th, we definitely have a high energy day as Mercury enters Scorpio, where whispers of the underworld come a little bit louder, and the energy of Mercury slips into the darkness of Scorpio, sharpening our intuition and our communication. This is definitely a time that hidden truths and also spells may become woven into the tapestries of reality. Now, I would say with this movement, you're going to want to pull out your tarot deck. You're also going to want to do some energies around communication or even some truth spells. Right around October 6th, we have a full moon in Aquarius. No, full moon in Aries. My bad. I just saw the A. Oh, so this is a fire moon, and I love a fucking fire moon. So it's daring us to summon our courage and take charge of our destiny. There's no eclipses into this moon. So manifest your raw, primal emotions and your fierce independence. This is a perfect time to do some bold spell work around anything and everything that matters, and that's you. This is centered around the energy of identity and accomplishments, as the Aries is known for being a spitfire and getting fucking shit done. Also on October 7th, Mercury in Scorpio squares Pluto in Aquarius. I don't know why when I read this, fucking Joe Biden just popped in my head. I just want to say that out loud because, oh fuck. October 7th, Mercury in Scorpio squares Pluto in Aquarius. Maybe Joe Biden something. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to make some comments or something, but words become weapons. I don't know if Trump's going to talk shit about him, but he just popped in my head. Conversations may cut a little deep, and the summoning of power struggles and shadows. We stay with that energy of grounded truth, and also we aren't lured into fear. So this Mercury in Scorpio squares Pluto in Aquarius, I'll tell you the truth, it does make me a little bit uncomfortable seeing seeing it. This energy, the first week of October, especially with October 6th and October 7th, I feel are definitely some high energy days. So we're going to be looking to see what occurs. Definitely work on communication, what it is that you want, what it is that you perceive as power struggles, because that energy could be reflecting and being very reflective towards certain signs. I definitely see it around the fixed signs and, of course, the cardinal signs. So just be cautious of that. Also, October 8th, we have Venus in Virgo sextiles Jupiter in Cancer, which this is a beautiful day to create connections, growth, and also the energy of sowing in our roots as we prepare for winter. A witch must prepare for winter, bitches. We must prepare and prepare. On October 11th, we have Venus in Virgo opposite Saturn in Pisces. This masks the full energy of illusions, and also you may see someone as they are truly are, or better or worse, decide where their energy belongs in your sacred circle. So this definitely feels like some conflict, especially around the home life and the roots. So if there's a breakup, sorry, not sorry, because sometimes rejection is protection. Sometimes the energy that what fills us with our consciousness allows us to awaken. I believe Saturn is still in retrograde during this time. Now on October 13th, woo, high energy day. October 13th, high energy day, and it's a Monday. Oh man, going back to work on this day. We have Venus enters Libra, which could be a benefit, really balance that energy of home, also casting that area of attraction and beauty. Venus enters Libra feels like a lot of glamour magic, feels like we should be working on the energy of our air, our movement, our charisma, our harmony. It's definitely a perfect time to get centered with glamour magic, confidence magic, calling in ourselves to love ourselves just a little bit more than we love everybody else. Sometimes I feel like I love everybody and I don't give myself some nice lovey-dovey moments, but it's definitely that time that you're going to get in front of the mirror. You're going to say it 3 times. You're going to say, I love you. I love you. Just say your name. I could say my name, but it sounds kind of weird. I love you, Catherine. I fucking love you. Look that energy in the eye. Say, I love you. I love all the way from the head down to the toes. I want you to point out every beautiful fucking feature on your goddamn body, you fucking cosmic baddie sexy bitch. I love your hair. I love your neck. I love your eyes. Your eyes are so beautiful. I love your eyes. I love your lips. I love them titties, girl. I will tell you, there's some things I still love about myself, bitch, and it's definitely the titties. The titties still look good after all these fucking years. Shit. Bitch. 100% natural, too. I'm just going to throw that in for the haters. October 13th, we have a Venus in Libra opposite Neptune in Aries. Beware of the trickster energy. Now, I love a good trickster. Just as long as that trickster's not in my bed. I love a good trickster. I love somebody with the jokes. I love somebody who's funny, but don't play with my emotions and don't play with my heart. That's all I got to say. But if you got the laughs, I'm here for it. But don't be trying to run no tricks on me because we'll get to fighting. Anyways, beware of that trickster energy. Beware, beware, beware. Glamour, illusions, everything that glitters is not gold. It's very thick in the air right now. And it could be centered around love. It could also be centered around money with that Venus. Don't sign anything too fast. Don't get centered in falling in love too fast right around this time. Right around this time, be a little bit cautious because changes can occur. Big changes, monumental changes, movement. And if you want to know why, because Pluto just woke the fuck up in Aquarius. Pluto is direct on October 13th. In Aquarius, saying, I'm back, bitches. You can't bring this shorty down, okay? I'm back. I know I'm little, but I'm back. Pluto stirs the cauldron. Pluto is awakening. Pluto's ready to transform. Transformation's blooming. The collective feels it. It urges it. It feels it. It sees it. It tastes it. It acknowledges it. It's going to serve some areas of clearing out some of that old shit and getting some new shit in here. So definitely clear your altars, clean your altars, dust your altars. I know some of you got some dusty altars around there. And be centered on that power of rebirth. Also, October 14th, we have Venus in Libra trines Uranus in Gemini. October 14th is seen as a high energy day with Venus in Libra trines Pluto in Aquarius as well. So it's definitely a good time to work on love, work on transforming the relationship, repairing the relationship if you feel like it's a little stagnant. We also have October 21st. We have, let's not forget this baddie. October 19th, Mercury in Scorpio conjuncts Mars in Scorpios. Words will be lethal. They will be potent. They will be transformative. They will be no longer hidden. This is a day of potent spell crafting. If you want to make a potent spell, honey, put a little honey on your tongue and start to talk to them real nice, and they will come your way. Also be centered about where the strategy meets raw desire. Speak your truth with not just fire that Mars brings, but also with that clarity that water of the Scorpio brings, and talk about it with the rhythm of the air. So remember, your words are very powerful that time. Yes. Also, October 21st, we have new moon in Libra, a moon of harmony weaving through the threads of balance and fairness. Cast a new moon ritual to honor your area of sacred and your area of beauty in your relationships, your energy of balance and harmony that you bring to this day right here. So for some good news, the retrogrades are clearing up. We have Neptune retrograde going direct, or Neptune retrogrades. I'm sorry. My bad. Neptune retrogrades to Pisces. So Neptune still in retrograde, but shifting from Aries on to Pisces. Saturn, I believe, is still there in Pisces retrograde. So the dream walker stirs up the illusions as Neptune returns to the depths of that water-bearing cosmic mystic of Pisces, urging us to dissolve our illusions and listen to the whispers of the outer world. Now, don't get caught up in sweet talk, okay? Because Neptune likes to play with our consciousness, especially when it's in the energy of Pisces, but we'll see. Also, we have Sun enters Scorpio. It is officially Scorpio season. The veil grows thinner and thinner, my bitch. It's just so thin. Next thing you know it, the ghosts are going to be sitting right next to us. The veil is so thin that I can't take it. But the sun steps into Scorpio's dark shadow, and the season of magic and manifesting is transformed to a new altar beginning. Creepy, creepy. It asks for unseen flavors, and watch how you cast your spells, as they are just a little bit more magical than before. Also on October 24th, we have Sun in Scorpio squares Pluto in Aquarius, a day for us to drench into our shadows like the old mystic wound goddesses we know we are. It's time for us to face them and release them and banish whatever has been haunting you. It's possibly a toxic ex. I hate when you go down the X factor and you're like, ew, how did I ever do that thing? October 24th, we have Mercury in Scorpio trines Jupiter in Cancer. Good news. Okay. So that energy is getting a little broken up. We're going to start to trust our intuition, trust our process, and trust our messages. We are in our spiritual energy. We understand that spirit transitions from life to death. We understand that concept. We're going to honor our ancestors. We're also going to honor everything that it is that we have learned to this point forward and how much more we're going to continue to learn. Also on October 29th is a high energy day as we are getting closer to Halloween. Hallows Eve. We have Mercury in Scorpio trines Neptune in Pisces. On the eve of Halloween, the spirits call. Messages slip between the realms and the perfect sceneries of ancestral work. Candle meditations and manifestations come alive as our words become the next breaking to our adventure. As we also have Mercury enters Sagittarius, a mind to expand to new territories and adventure and travel. Exploration beckons us through the pathway of lots of twists and unexpected turns. Also on October 29th, Mars in Scorpio trines Saturn in Pisces. Strength, unity, and protect your fucking coven, bitch. Stand beside your doorway before these pesky little trick-or-treaters come. Stand and march forward in your strengths. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius opposites Uranus. It feels like a chaos swirl as the energy is high and the veil is thin. The plans twist and the chords become clash. Truth is unpredictable, avoiding binding contracts or big decisions. Also, we have Mercury in Sagittarius sextiles Pluto in Aquarius, a final day to get ready for the witches' Halloween. Get ready to have big insight. Also, think of your costume. Get your witchy hat all collectively done and have some time to enhance your sacred knowledge. Look around, study, research, or even your favorite spooky movie, as secrets, lives, and unhidden truths will all come a little bit more crazy. So I want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast. Everybody have an amazing day. Please like, comment, and share this with your witchy bestie. Have an amazing October, everybody. Bye.